Good morning, friends. It's Reverend Katie. It's another midweek devotional for University United Methodist Church. And on this Wednesday, in the very early hours of the morning, I'm like so many other families, finding myself beginning a new school year along with our kids because, it's not just the children learning, but it's the parents having to do all of the support and the lead up to helping them launch into a new year of learning. So just like other families, I'm one of the parents that gets up a little early. I've got my kids' uniforms all lined out and ready to go, and snacks packed, and just different things prepared so that we can begin the morning well and not go out the door completely frazzled before the day even begins. But I have been thinking a lot about some of these threshold moments where new beginnings happen, whether it's in the little lives of children or whether it's in the lives of big children that experience a host of new beginnings, whether it be new jobs or new relationship or what have you. So I've been thinking specifically not just about those threshold moments when you step into those places, but the extraordinary and then ordinary times when we have to prepare ourselves for those times of what we might expect or how we might even show up in those spots. So one of the things that I've done with my own family is when I've had the energy and the time, it hasn't always been every day. Sometimes I'll find myself when we're driving in the car, right? Because that's a time where you could do a myriad of things. You could listen to the news, which is great. You could listen to music, which is always a good choice. But I try to find some time where we turn all of that noise down, and with at least the four of us in my van, ask the question, really a series of questions to help us set our minds right in some way. So it's questions like, what are you most excited about today, or what are you most afraid of? Kind of being honest about some of those things. Thinking about yesterday, what are some of those relationships or people that you noticed were hurting that might need extra love today? What might you anticipate is something today where you're going to have to be brave? So there are a lot of different questions you could ask of others, of yourself, but I do think that those kinds of intentional considerations about what we're walking into are so important to determine whether we show up into the world and into our responsibilities, our opportunities in a wholehearted way, or in a way that is potentially closed off or fearful, or might keep us from experiencing all of the mystery and beauty and surprise that God might have in store for us in whatever we do and whatever life brings. So in Scripture, there are a whole lot of times of threshold moments where endings are beginnings and new beginnings or an ending of something else. It's just a lot of even good change is hard and it's stressful. And I've been thinking specifically about that wholeheartedness, kind of being present to your life in a way that is open, with a growth mindset, trusting that even problems might be opportunities, and to look for those places where God is going to make a way where it seems like there's no way. And Ezekiel really speaks to that because Ezekiel is kind of this wonderfully weird prophetic book that has all sorts of visions that just feel like they're either an odd dream or a really bad nightmare. And Ezekiel is a prophet that's speaking into a time where the Israelites have been scattered in all sorts of different places. The nation is just in various forms and spaces of exile. And Ezekiel is wanting to speak that promise in that God will call them back together, call them back to their center, call them back to the love that they knew first. And I think about this specific text from, I believe it's chapter 11, if I remember right. I'm just looking at this little excerpt that I pulled out this morning that has been something I've gone back to year and year, time and time again. And I just want to read it to you. Chapter 11, from about 17 to 20. And Ezekiel says, "Therefore say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I will gather you from the nations and bring you back from the countries where you have been scattered. I will give you back to the land of Israel again. They will return to it and remove all of its vile images and detestable idols in life." And listen to this, verse 19. "I will give them an undivided heart, and I will put a new and right spirit within them. I will remove from them their heart of stone and give them a heart of flesh. Then they will follow my decrees and be careful to keep my laws. They will be my people, and I will be their God." I love that text just because, and he says it in two different places, gives witness to what God has promised. I think in 11 and then maybe in chapter 36. Anyway, it's a theme that comes out in Ezekiel again and again. I will turn their heart of stone into a heart of flesh. Now, when you think about it, I find starting school or even just starting in any of the spaces that we have today as human beings, as members of this Baton Rouge community or whatever community you find yourself within where you're still accessing our ministry in some way, I find this feeling of scatteredness is very much something that I relate to and resonate with, both internally, a scatteredness in every which place, like having to respond to the tyranny of the urgent, whatever it is. It's like our life is determined and our time and our days are determined by responding to every new emergency that comes into our orbit or right in front of our face. But I think there's a scatteredness in the general public in which we live. And certainly in our schools, our kids are going to be experiencing a myriad of, even if they're in person, there's this underlying hum of fear and anxiety about how things and protocols and even being together as friends and as classmates can change on a dime. And so there's this scatteredness that God says the antidote is to show up to your life wholehearted and perhaps open and vulnerable, malleable anyway, in spite of everything that would seem to close you and I off or have us lean into this place of self-protection. So my hope for all of us today is that we can find ourselves preparing before the time where we have to step into a new thing, preparing to be surprised by God, who truly does promise that we continue to be protected and that we will be provided for, even perhaps that we have everything within us we already need to be able to meet whatever life, whatever our day throws our way. And that somehow, even in the midst of the good and the hard things, that we will be refined and made even better, stronger, perhaps more hopeful in the midst of experiencing those things. So today I have this, I talk about John O'Donohue a lot. He's just one of my favorite writers, and so I don't think it's bad to share good things often. And there's a blessing that he offers called a new beginning that I just have in my spirit that somebody needs this morning. I know I certainly need as I'm facing in my own life, ministry-wise and personally, just some endings that are new beginnings, new opportunities, but still hold their own level of joy, uncertainty, and potential pain. And so you'll hear in John's words that in every new beginning, there's also a letting go. And that the awareness of that taking on and letting go and the grief that is inherent in that, and also the freedom that is inherent in that. That's something that I just wanted to be able to transmit for yours and my transformation today. So here are the words of this blessing. A New Beginning by John O'Donohue. In out of the way places of the heart, where your thoughts never think to wander, this beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you were ready to emerge. For a long time, it has watched your desire, feeling the emptiness growing inside of you, noticing how you willed yourself on, still unable to leave what you had outgrown. It watched you play with the seduction of safety and the gray promises that sameness whispered, heard the waves of turmoil rise and relent, wondered, would you always live like this? Then the delight, when your courage kindled, and out you stepped onto new ground. Your eyes young again with energy and dream, a path of plenitude opening before you. Though your destination is not yet clear, you can trust the promise of this opening. Unfurl yourself into the grace of beginning that is at one with your life's desire. Awaken your spirit to adventure. Hold nothing back. Learn to find more ease in risk. And soon you will home in a new rhythm, for your soul senses the world that awaits you. Brothers and sisters, whatever you are holding today, I pray that God will soften your heart into a heart of flesh, open to all that will be available to you for your formation, learning, transformation, and refreshing new life. May we not hold ourselves to have a heart and a mind and a very being of stone, but allow ourselves to be malleable and formed by all of the beautiful parts of creation that are meant for our life and meant as gracious gift for the day. Be in peace, friends. I'm grateful for you, and I look forward to continuing to walk this journey alongside you in the days to come. Take care.